Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. One of the rules as a medic, or as an individual, when you try to help someone in a certain kind of medical emergency, is don't make things worse than they are. So you intervene, but make sure you don't make it worse, or don't intervene in order not to make it worse. We are in this situation in Ukraine, where we have those forces fighting the Russian forces, and it seems like things. Not it seems. I think it's a fact, not a think. Oh, I think no. It is a fact. Things got worse than before the 24th of February 2022, which is more people get armed. They get more weapons, and some countries might get nuclear weapons as well, which is Belarus in this case. Now that's a big threat it's making things worse, obviously. Russia already said that they will provide Belarus, not provide Belarus, but they will deploy nuclear weapons on the country of Belarus, which will move their striking capability more Western. So the time of reaction by the Europeans and the Americans will be much shorter, as the exact thing that the Russians claimed, for good reason, when NATO moved its infrastructure closer to the Russian borders. The Russians said, well, you're moving your rockets, missiles closer to my border. You give us less and less time to react in case you attack us. So that means we feel threatened by you. The other guy said, nothing to see here. Okay, now the Russians are doing the same thing, and the other side suddenly realizes that's fair, but only against them. The other way around, no. Because everything, remember, in this situation, and not only, starts from these premises. We are good, they are bad. And if you start from this kind of worldview, things are getting worse, because you attribute yourself, you ascribe yourself a quality that you don't have. We definitely are not the good ones, and definitely they are not the bad ones, because we all have good and bad in ourselves, as they do and everybody else. So not one action determines how a person is, but the totality of the person's actions and behavior and thoughts expressed. In this little situation, we have Belarus, and Belarus now, according to Shoigu, Sergei Shoigu, the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation, have the capability of carrying Iskander-M nuclear weapons, warheads, missiles, whatever, if they choose to. Now, I don't know if the Russians already provided the Belarusians with, I don't think they transferred, no, I don't think, I know they didn't transfer yet nuclear weapons in Belarus, but just the thought of it is something that upsets a lot of people who did the same thing, providing other countries in Europe with nuclear weapons. Not the countries, but stationed their nuclear weapons in Europe. And the Americans, the Russians should be okay with that. I'm waiting for Nicaragua and Cuba to accept some Russian nuclear warheads, and then you're going to see how hypocrisy kicks in, which is, hey, you can't do that, only we can do that. Why? Again, analyze it as they analyze it, by this kind of mantra: we are good, they're bad. If you want to see how good we are, I can point a few incidents, historical facts. Atomic bombs dropped on civilians 2 times by only one country, the good one. Napalm, bombed the Vietnamese people with bombed the out of them. Just look at the past 30 years in the world, what happened in all those countries, like Yugoslavia, bombed illegally. Why am I saying illegally? It was not authorized by the United Nations Security Council and so on, so that made it illegal. But hey, we are a defensive alliance, so we can do it because, remember, we're the good ones. And then the invasion of Iraq, destroying that country. Bringing democracy and freedom. My bad. Then, I don't know, killing whomever in Afghanistan, all right, and then keeping Pakistan as friends. That's good, but hey, Afghanistan was bad. Then we got Libya, Libya, and other countries that were just keeping forces in sovereign country and free country, independent country of Syria, because we can, sucking the oil over there because we can, defending our allies in East Asia, remember, North Korea, China, everywhere you find the same good people, which, sometimes yes, but sometimes no. I mean, however you want to call it, there are historical events. Now, you can justify them in a certain way, but if you justify in the same way and you agree with that justification, that means that you can use the same way of justifying other people if they would do it in the same manner, which we don't. Obviously, we can say, well, because we, the good ones, dropped atomic bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki on 2 occasions to stop the war and protect the lives of our boys and so on, and stop the war early, and we use that as a justification. Okay, then think about evil Russians. If they would dare to use the same justification, let's say in Ukraine, well, we can stop the war right now and we're going to defend our boys' lives, and we can do that. Imagine what they will say. They will say, no, because the sky is not blue and the sun is not this and that. Because this and this and this and that. Anyway, let's go and see this little article here, coming from the evil ones from Russia today, from April 4th, 2023. Russia gives ally nuclear strike capabilities. Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said Belarus's warplanes can now carry nukes, with an Iskander-M missile unit also provided to Minsk. So Iskander is right there. Now, the problem is Iskander can carry nuclear warheads, and or not. They can, but they don't have nuclear warheads over there as far as we know. Belarus Air Force can now carry out nuclear strikes thanks to Russia's assistance, Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu has revealed. Is that a good thing? No. As I said at the beginning of this video, things got worse. The Russian official noted that Moscow had also handed over a unit of nuclear-capable Iskander-M mobile short-range ballistic missiles to its allies. Speaking during a meeting with Russian top brass on Tuesday, Shoigu said, and I'm quoting, part of the Belarusian attack air fleet have received the ability to conduct strikes on enemy targets with nuclear means of destruction. That means Poland, get out and stay there. Basically, this is what these guys are saying. Do not dare to attack. Not that the Poles would like to do that or not, you know what I mean. They are focused on Western Ukraine and whatever they can get. You don't believe me? Look at certain maps. According to the minister, on Monday, Belarusian troops began getting acquainted with the Iskander-M missile system on one of Russia's military training grounds as well. Commenting on the move, Shoigu cited an uptick in NATO's military activities along the borders of the Union state comprising Belarus and Russia. Meanwhile, addressing Belarus parliament last Friday, the country's president, Alexander Lukashenko, floated the possibility of Russian strategic nuclear weapons being deployed in the state, on top of the tactical ones. Not good. Again, getting worse. Worse. And I'm quoting, "We will stop at nothing to protect our nations, our states, our people," end quote, the official pointed out, adding that the move would likely serve as an effective deterrent against any hostile moves by the US and its allies. In an interview with the Russia 21 TV channel in late March, Russian President Vladimir Putin revealed that Moscow's tactical nuclear weapons might arrive in Belarus as early as this summer amid Minsk repeated calls to deploy such weapons on its territory. He noted that Russia would not hand over control of any of these tactical nuclear weapons to Belarus. Important statement. Explaining the need for the move, the Russian head of state cited the UK's decision to provide Kiev with depleted Ukrainian. When I read that, I read it Ukrainian. But anyway, uranium munitions earlier in March. Russian ambassador to the US, Anatoly Antonov, pointed out last week that the US had long stationed its own tactical nuclear weapons in 5 non-nuclear weapon states: Belgium, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, and Turkey. The diplomat therefore concluded that any criticism of Russia's decisions by the US were hypocritical. What do you think? Well, again, we go back to that. We are the good, we can do it, you're the bad, we have to do it to defend ourselves. But you can't do it to defend yourself. If you have values, if you have principles, those are universal values, universal principles. You can't use it here, but here you ignore it in the same circumstance. As I always say, if one of your relatives commits a crime, or let's say rapes someone, you should condemn that, as should condemn someone else's doing the same thing. But on this situation, we say, no, Uncle Jojo or Gigi is okay doing it because he's our boy and he's a good guy. We're going to find a justification. That's how it happened with these guys. But on the other hand, we rightly, condemn it. Well, that's not just justice, that's not principle, that's not values. That's preferential situational. And when you have that one, that's not right. The same when you say, well, social justice. Justice, is no social justice, is no this justice is not just that justice. When you go like that, it's kind of like you look to a certain trouble. So here it is, the Belarusians have the capability. That means if something happens at the Belarusian forces, the Russians can immediately bring whatever they want and just put it over there, screw it, push the buttons and release it towards whomever. So this is more of a deterring decision, but still, are things better? No, they're worse. Well, we say, make Putin stop the war. Well, why don't you make the guys behind Washington start the war? I'm pretty sure they can do it. But hey, when you don't want to talk about things and you just go ahead, what do you expect? The other ones to try to talk to you forever? No, they just act as animals. You see, when you observe nature, and how do let's say the gazelle or the crow that's just crowing around teaches their offspring, not by telling them, hey, crow, come over here. No, by action, by doing. And the other one repeats, learns by repetition, by example. Not necessarily by communication. We don't know really if they communicate, but by moving around. So if you look at the gazelle wants to get a little fawn to follow. You're just going to go this way. The idiot stays here, comes back, moves again like 10 times. And when the idiot doesn't move, she's going to move further. And the idiot will realize and follow at one point. If not, going to be eaten by someone, or the gazelle comes back in 2 hours and tries again. That's how they do it. So if I want to talk to you and you don't want to talk to me and you act, I'm going to act as a consequence to your actions. So when you move your strategic nuclear weapons close to me, I'm going to act the same way. When you move your infrastructure in Poland and Romania, missile infrastructure, I do the same thing in Belarus. And you don't want to talk about it, then we're going to act like animals. And animality goes to violence, basically. All right, that's why we are human, and we use this, and we made all this world framework that we look at issues in a reasonable and in an intellectual way, because they have that capability. Once we say, I'm not going to talk to you because I don't like your nose, or I think you're bad, then we get to that position of, I know you're right too. Yeah, thank you very much. Those are new subscribers. See, even animals love me. Just kidding. I love animals. I like them. I don't really like certain kind of animals, because these kind of animals are capable of causing harm with pleasure. Animals, those kind of animals, they don't cause harm with pleasure. They do it by necessity, mostly. Here we have this kind of animals who do it sometimes with pleasure and glee. Well, that's why we are the best creation of, I read in the Bible or something, we're the best creation of, well, not in the Bible, but some people say, right? We are the best creation. Well, I know we have the capability, we have the potential, but we have to use it. Unfortunately, we have these people who get us to the worst of the animalic feeling, which is aggressivity, but not aggressivity by necessity, but aggressivity by the other kind of pleasure and interest. And anyway, you know what I mean. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.